Because of carpentry, I really care about space. I've thought about space really a lot. And I'm accustomed to schools where the architecture gets in the way. And I didn't want a school where we were going to try to do things despite the architecture. So what I love about this building is when you approach it from the outside, it's just a box. And then you come in here and you go, whoa. People say, this doesn't look like a school. I love to hear that. That's one of my favorite things to hear. They say it feels like a startup, like an incubator, something like that. So that's why we have all this glass. Why do you have glass? We get to see what's going on in classes. Kids get to see what's going on with each other, and you get to look at student work. This is designed for exhibiting student work. This is about curation as much as anything else. So having kids present their work regularly gives us a benefit. And the benefit is that we all look at the work that the students did and say, oh, that was really good work. That wasn't so good. Not looking backward or looking forward. Next time, my work's going to be more like this work and less like that work. So we needed a space that sort of lent its way to do that. So we have 40,000 square feet. Typically, you'd have 400 kids. We have 538 kids in this building, and it doesn't feel frenetic, and it doesn't feel hectic, right? And people said, oh, you can't have all this glass because the kids are going to be at the glass and fooling around. There's none of that. And actually, instead of being in this little egg crate where kids can't wait to get out because they want to like go see somebody else, they see people coming by, and it's not a big deal. And also, we don't have adults' bathrooms and kids' bathrooms. That's not a small thing, that's a big thing. We just have bathrooms. So if you treat kids with respect, if you treat them like adults, if you enter them into the adult world, they will behave like adults. As Voltaire said, suspicion invites treachery. So it's basically founded on respect. People always say, oh yeah, but this is really great, but would it just work with disadvantaged kids? And I say, well, what makes it easier for us and would make it easier for our country if we honored Brown versus Board of Education and we really had integrated schools. It's as advantageous for my kid to be with kids who are disadvantaged here as it is for the kids who are disadvantaged to be with my kid. And that's what it takes to create a society. That's the point of creating, that's when Jefferson said, the purpose of public education isn't to serve the public, the purpose of public education is to create a public. But it would be disadvantageous because it's more difficult when you've got kids who all go home and no one at the table went to college. So here we get the peer effect. We've reversed the peer effect. I got an example of that. I've got a dad who is a custodian at San Diego State who called me up, and his son got a full scholarship to a very elite private college and is just graduating. And he called me up weeping a little bit and said, remember what you told me when my son first came here 8 years ago? And I said, what was that? He said, you told me that he was going to be going to college. And I asked you what I needed to do. And you told me nothing. And you told me that we'd reverse the peer effect. And the pressure, the social pressure here is, you're going to college. Where are you going to college? So that makes it easier here than if we were, for example, right in the middle of Compton, where we only had the have-nots and none of the haves. And it's not because the haves are more, there's nothing more virtuous about them. It's just that it's beneficial to have an integrated school. I think that public education is our most precious public institution. Everybody knows that education is the one intervention that can most elevate you above social disadvantage more than anything else, and yet it's the least changed public institution in American society. That's the paradox that we deal with, and I hope that we come to terms with it. I really do. We need to be evocative. We need to be midwives with teachers and find out how they learned in high schools, what were their most memorable learning experiences, draw that out of them, ask them to write it down on a piece of paper. It was a project, it had a mentor, it involved community, there was risk of failure, there was recognition of success, there was a public exhibition. Well, this didn't come from the central office, this didn't come from the state legislature. We just asked you how you learned best, and you are describing precisely what we think would be a really good idea. How, respectfully, I would like to ask you, does this comport with the way that you teach? What's stopping you from doing this? Come from within and go out. And also ask teachers and work with teachers as I have in traditional schools. So what do you love to do outside of school? Oh, that's what you love to do? Bring it in, integrate it. Integrate it. As Hegel said, you could argue from any X to any other X in the universe. We can connect what you really love to do with the subject you need to teach, then you'll be more passionate. I mean, it comes to a definition of rigor. I think one misapprehension of rigor is that it's more content. A more nuanced misapprehension of rigor is that it's increasingly complex content. I would argue that rigor is being in the company of a passionate adult who is rigorously pursuing inquiry in the area of their subject matter and is inviting students along as peers in that adult discourse. That's rigor. That's why I say to teachers, you want to know how we know whether you're a good teacher or not? The sophistication of your kids' work. If your kids are producing work that's worth doing and that has lasting value and learning that's worth learning, you're a good teacher. I want kids behaving like an actress, behaving like a scientist, behaving like a documentary filmmaker, behaving like a journalist. Not just studying it, but being like it. Because really, what is adolescence but trying on new roles and sampling new identities? We're just giving them a chance to do that.